Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. So for today's video, we are not going to go through all the different divinates that exist in the game right now. We're going to do it in a separate video, so do take note of the next video that's going to be uploaded really soon. Anyway, let's take a look at the new changes that was implemented, which is essentially just a divinate system and all that, right? So we're going to go through like the main stuff, the main changes that we can expect. But before we get into that, I must make a disclaimer that everything that we're about to see is completely unofficial. It is not the final product. And the reason why I need to stress on it is because I think a lot of you guys are not gonna like... Okay, I personally don't really like the new divinate system. I think it's kind of bad. We're gonna start off with like every single thing. So, for example, in the plaza, there are actually packs. Okay, so I'm not sure why I didn't think about it, but yes, you cannot buy divinate discs with Nexus crystals, but you can absolutely buy with cash, which means it is actually more pay to win than I initially anticipated. So there are 4 levels to how free to play or how pay to win something is. So the first level, which is the most free to play approach, is everyone gets the same shit. Everyone gets 50 discs, for example. Then that is completely free to play friendly. The second level is slightly less free to play, which is whatever that I thought was going to be, which is you can only acquire it by doing events and by scoring well in certain content, like let's say the falsetto fantasy, which we'll talk about. That is the second level of free-to-play friendliness, because that also incorporates a little bit of like competitiveness, right? And then the third layer would be being able to purchase the discs with Nexus crystals, because clearly you can literally buy Nexus crystals and then buy your divinate discs directly this way. And the fourth and the most pay-to-win way is actually this, by literally selling the divinate disc directly in a pack. Now, I understand that they need to make money, which is why they opted for this, but this just completely changed the landscape entirely, because right now, whales are just going to be able to buy their specific divinates directly because they can already buy divinate discs this way. Now, why this is a problem is because of how the echo looks like right now, which is there is a new divinate system, a new divinate echo, I should say. So this is your divinate echo, and the way it works is you can actually select something that, let's say, you want, right? So for example, if I want Tolan's divinate here, I can just confirm it. And if I do pull for a divinate this way, it is a legendary divinate. It's guaranteed to be Tolan. I'm not sure how this is going to work if we get multiple divinates. Maybe you can check it out in this video itself. But this is generally how it works, right? So you can actually select the divinate that you want. So the thing is, if you can buy packs that literally sells divinate discs, then you are almost certainly guaranteed to be able to R6 anything, or rather should I say D6 anything that you really want. So in this case, you can easily D6 the exact divinate that you need, which is really good for whales. Now, another thing is, in terms of the drop rates of all of it, I'm not sure why there's no probabilities here, because there is probabilities for the epics, there is probabilities for the rares. But what you notice is that, generally speaking, the rates of getting your shimmers are actually less than the rates of you getting your non-shimmers, which is divided by 7, right? So I'm going to assume that the same is true for the legendaries as well. And I have seen the rates somewhere, I'm just not sure why it's not showing over here, but I think in most cases, it does make sense to just select for your shimmer divinates, because this is going to be a lot easier than just lucking it out. Oh, now I see. Okay, now I understand. Okay, so there aren't any probabilities here. There aren't any probabilities listed here because the moment you get the divinate itself, you're actually going to get it directly, right? So there is no need for probabilities. It's always 100% depending on what you're selected here. Okay, fine. Okay, then scrap what I just said. Hi, this is Daddy Free to Play's editor speaking. So I actually found the probabilities where he was not able to do so. It's actually in the Go Record banner. So if you go to probabilities here, you will notice that there are your legendary Esper probabilities, and there are also your divinate probabilities here, which you will notice that your legendary shimmer divinates, they are actually much harder to obtain than your non-legendary shimmer divinate. I'm not sure why this is so freaking hard to say, man. Oh my god. So my point is, it makes a lot more sense for you to just select your shimmers, your shimmer legendary divinates in the divinate echo itself. But this is just a blanket statement as opposed to selecting a non-shimmer legendary divinate in the divinate echo. Essentially, getting divinates is very pay to win, and we're going to take a look at all the different divinates later on, like I said, in a separate video. Okay, so anyway, let's do a couple of pulls, one via the Go Records itself and one via the new Divinate Echo. Let's take a look at how it looks like in the Go Record banner. So apparently, we're not going to be able to see any more blue pulls, right? We're not going to get any more rare pulls. We're always going to get at least one epic something, either an epic Esper or an epic Divinate. And apparently we can skip, but I want to show you the animation. So there you go, that's the rare animation. That's how it looks like. And this is the epic animation, nice. Okay, so we lucked out in this single pool itself. Okay, so we got Joza, right? And what's this? We got Catherine. Okay, so the animation will show up a little bit differently for all of these cards, or rather the Divinates. And you can see what the effect of the Divinate is by just selecting the card over there, or the Divinate. So when target's HP is below 50%, brutalizes final damage plus 3%. Okay. So this is, you can also zoom in to take a look at the new image, which is, I guess it's a nice touch. Let's do one more 10 pull. Okay, great, we got a legendary. Hopefully we get a legendary Divinate so that I can show you how it looks like as well, the animation at least. Okay, rip. We got an Esper instead. Okay, but one thing to take note of is because of the changes and the addition of the Divinates, you're gonna see a lot of legendary summons. You're gonna see a lot of yellow light, because the rates of getting any legendary is actually 2%. It's no longer 1%, so you're going to see a lot more legendary animations, but don't fret too much about it, okay? So most of it is just going to come in the form of your Divinates here. So it's super important that you save all of your gold records right now, because like you can see over here, right, we are getting a lot of Divinates, which is very important in upgrading your existing Esper. So don't squander it right now unless you desperately need to use your summons for some reason. Okay, we finally got a legendary here, so I've been summoning for a long time. Please be a Divinate, please be a Divinate, please be a Divinate. Okay, rip. No Divinate, I guess. Okay, so I used up all my Nexus crystals, and okay, we didn't get any single legendary Divinate from this pool, but I can guarantee you that it is possible to get a legendary Divinate from the Gold Record banner itself. So there isn't a PT system tied to it. So you can see acquire Espers and Divinate from Echo, 10 spins guarantee an Esper Divinate or an Esper or Divinate of epic tier or better, and guaranteed legendary Esper in 76 pools. That's not going to be the same for your Divinates itself. Okay, so your Divinates have no PT here, but there will be a PT system in the Divinate Echo. So let's take a look at how the Divinate Echo differs to the Gold Record banner. So full gold pool, man. So we're just going to skip ahead, and yeah, it's just straight up all Divinates only. Oh, okay, yeah, so don't be alarmed, it's not a legendary shimmer, it's just a legendary shimmer Divinate because I selected for it. Okay, so that's how you can get cheap animations, I guess. And this is how the animation looks like. Congrats! We got ourselves a Tolan Divinate, yeah, very nice. Oh, we started with 20k resources here, so we actually broke PT early. So right now I still have 93 more spins, which means I think if you get double legendaries, you get double of the same Divinate. So just be careful of who you're selecting over here. You might get double or triple of the same copy, which is not a bad thing, but you might overdo it sometimes, I guess. Wow, would you look at that? Instantly a pack to sell the Sound Matrix Stone, which gives EXP to your Divinates. Okay, so there are a couple of things, like I said, that has changed in the PTR server, which would eventually make its way into the global server itself, which I do hope that they revamp some of these stuff. So these I'm okay with, right? So we are going to get some of these currencies by beating certain tiers, and I had no idea that I was tier 12. Okay, so this is one way that you can obtain the Sound Matrix Stone, but this isn't the only way. The other only way is to get it via the Falsetto Fantasy, which we will check out in just a little bit. But before that, let's equip some of these new item pieces here, which we do not have this over here. We have one for Tolan, right? Aha, there we go, Tolan. Okay, so this Esper hasn't reached Ascension Phase 6 yet, cannot be equipped with the Divinate. Okay, so we have to fully ascend this up to 6 before we can proceed with equipping of the Divinate. Okay, now we are Ascension 6, and we are not yet 6 stars by the way, but we can already equip the Divinate here. So the minimum requirement is to be level 50, and that's it. Now we can also upgrade the Divinate here, so behind the scenes, we can further level this up so that we can increase the stats more. So if you care more about the stats of your Esper, this is where you can garner extra stats. What I hate about this system is the cost of it. So this system is supposed to help, I guess, weaker players get more stats to beat content, but yet at the same time, I don't think weaker players have this kind of currency. Like 1 million gold just to upgrade something from level 0 to level 10 so that you can gain 166 attack. That is definitely, that don't make sense. Okay, so this is extremely overpriced. I hope they can reduce the price of this to, like, I don't know, maybe even just 10% of the cost, because even 100k is a lot for this amount of stat. But this is of course just my opinion. What do you guys think? Now before we get into the Falsetto Fantasy, I want to show you guys that if you go to the Esper gallery, you would be able to see the individual Divinates that these Espers can acquire, right? So for example, Dona is over here. You see that level 1, or rather D1 of his Divinate provides him with defense and HP and a certain skill, which improves with your level. So it only improves from level 1, level 2, level 3, and after that it stops improving. What I mean is at level 4, you gain new base stats to your current Esper. In level 5, you gain more base stats, and level 6, you gain even more base stats. So in terms of whaling, the bulk of it, I think, is level 1, level 2, and level 3, because you will still gain certain stats along the way regardless. But most importantly, the effect of your Divinate itself improves with the level up to level 3. 4, 5, 6 onwards is just, like I said, extra stats. Okay, and now for the main event of the day, I guess, it's actually the False Cycle Fantasy. It's in the PTR server. It's actually not the Celestial Anomaly. So the Celestial Anomaly is still its own content. Surprisingly, so they actually made a new content called Falsetto Fantasy, and it's not a club content. It's a solo content of sorts. So this is the Falsetto Fantasy. Essentially, it's just reusing old bosses, basically reusing the old Sentinel. Okay, let's backtrack a little bit. It's reusing the Temporal Tower boss, or should I say, what tower is that? Spatial Tower, right? And then we have Counter Sonica here and Dark Starlord, who are Sentinel Hunt bosses. So this is all just completely, as far as I'm aware, right, they are all completely reused content. So in terms of Furbutter, if you take a look at what Furbutter is capable of, okay, wait, we can actually check it. Okay, maybe we can check Dark Starlord here, right? So you notice that the way that Dark Starlord works over here is he's essentially the same. He's exactly the same as your current Sentinel Hunt boss. I am not sure whether are there any differences, but I don't think there are any differences at all. It seems like there are 2 phases and that's it. That's basically it. But what I can say that I like about this new content is that this should have 100% replaced Sentinel Hunt. So the way this works is the higher your actual score, the better you would fare on the leaderboard. So for example, you take a look at the leaderboard here, you see that there are some players who have really good scores. So for example, Nikoni, wow, impressive stuff. He's running this exact setup and he has this score attached to it. And now for some reason, this is not even showing like the global leaderboard in terms of what you can obtain. I guess it's because we have to go back over here. Yeah, okay, so this leaderboard button, this is where you can see what people are actually doing based on their total score. So you can see that this Mokat whatever. The top placement will get 150 Shimmer Record Fragments, 1,500 Divinate Disc, which is equivalent to 15 summons in the Divinate Echo, and of course the banner itself. You can see that the rewards kind of like taper off a little bit as you go down the ranks. Okay, so far everyone is still receiving the same stuff. And I'm not sure where the limit is. But okay, so far there are 61 players who have participated in this Falsetto Fantasy, and they are all still gaining the same rewards over here, like 150 Shimmer Record Fragments and 1,500 Divinate Discs. But over here in the rewards page, you can see that there are additional rewards displayed for ranks beyond 100, all the way to like top 100%. So the minimum reward that you would obtain by just participating in this event, which resets every single week, is 120 Divinate Discs. Wow! It's 1.2 summons. But the top 1% will be able to acquire 120 Shimmer Record Fragments, 1,200 Divinate Discs, and you can see that it's just tapering off a little bit from 1,800, 700, 600, blah 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 blah. I think the most important benchmark to hit is probably like 4%, where you can guarantee yourself 1 Shimmer Record Summon per week, which is quite good. So 4% of the entire player base, they are going to benefit a lot from this new Falsetto Fantasy. Now, let's participate in the Falsetto Fantasy, and you can see that there is a limit to the number of entries that we have, which is like 18, right? So from Monday to Saturday, after the phase starts, qualified squads will receive 3 tokens from the Union, max storage of 18, and when the gameplay opens for the first time, all tokens for the week up to the present moment that haven't been sent will be provided. So if both your Falsetto tokens or boss rewards attempts are exhausted, you can use Nexus Crystals to challenge. So you can actually pay to win. However, in doing so, your best boss challenge record will be updated each phase, and you won't receive additional rewards for individual matches. Okay, so there is basically a cap to how many of these you can receive every single week. And you know what? Let's just participate in this. And I know this is Dark Starlord, so I'm supposed to use like a cleansing team with a lot of debuffs, but hey, I don't have the luxury of that right now. So let's just run something completely random, and we can figure out a little bit more about how the Dark Starlord has changed a little bit. Okay, you notice that there is a turn limit over here. Yikes. And the boss takes 20 turns before he can transform, not 7 turns. So we're gonna have to sit here for 20 whole turns just to make sure that he don't gain too many of that buff stacks that he has, right? This whatever stack that he has right now. We have to endure it for 20 whole turns. So it's gonna be very difficult, but at the same time there's a turn limit here which I'm not super fond of. But I cannot determine if this actually resets for your second team and your third team. I assume it's gonna reset, if not it doesn't make any sense at all. But yeah, you have a total of 150 turns to ensure that the boss transforms. Okay, and that's it. So I got 208 points and I'm 62 in the world. Wow. So I think in terms of mechanics, it's gonna work the same as your current Sentinel Hunt. So yeah, don't worry too much about it. Just use your same team. Except one thing to take note of is we did hold on. We did get some stuff here which I should point out as well. But one thing that I should mention is if you take a look at like Dark Starlord, for example, right? There is no formation preset that I'm aware of. So that means that you will be using your... Wait, hold on. Yeah, that scared me for a little bit. So you'd be using your current preset, which means if you use the formation preset, that might screw up the equipments that you have on your Espers, right? So some of your Espers, like I said, right, if you use Unas in other content and you switch his equipment up, that equipment is going to show up over here. So you're not going to be able to lock in your equipment pieces in this current content for Falsetto Fantasy. So yeah, do take note of that. Using the formation management might be detrimental to your Falsetto Fantasy team. So please be always on alert. And I do hope that they change this up a little bit because this system sucks. Now that some of you guys might... What the heck? Okay, some of you guys might also ask, what about Sentinel Hunt? Is it still going to stay? Yes, it is still going to stay, which means we have two of the exact same content for whatever reason. Makes me feel like Falsetto Fantasy is supposed to be a club content, and it should be a club content. Like they should just get rid of Sentinel Hunt. I don't think it's actually fun. I mean, the rewards are great, but in terms of the content itself, I don't think it's really that amazing. It's nothing new, right? And this new Falsetto Fantasy just adds on to the fact that the game development is kind of lazy because we have the same few bosses again with almost the same exact mechanics, which is not a good thing. Okay, so anyway, that's it for the PTR server for this part at least, like whatever that is new and whatever that I can show you guys. So in my next video, I will show you a little bit more about every single one of the Divinates, which is possibly going to be a very long video. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you did, thumbs up, really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content.